Welcome to the Better Business Bureau of Southern Colorado Excellence Award in Customer Service Application Writing Workshop. This workshop was presented live at the UCCS Downtown Campus, Colorado Springs, Colorado, January 22nd, 2020. I'm Steve Glazer. I will try to bring you the excitement of that meeting. We were pleased to be joined by Jonathan Liebert, BBB CEO and Executive Director, Paul Myers-Bennett, VP of Marketing and Events, myself, and Don Kruger, one of our EICS evaluators. We also had a group of distinguished panelists who are recipients of the award: Mike Phillips from McCloskey Motors, Rondi Stratton from Honest Accurate Auto Service, and Stacy Osborne from Beneficent. The Excellence Award in Customer Service is presented to accredited businesses that apply and qualify for the award. Applicants for the EICS Award must be accredited business members of the Better Business Bureau of Southern Colorado. We hope you will apply. This presentation is designed to help applicants understand the application process and learn ways they can show EICS evaluators that their company has excellent customer service processes. Applicants compete against a rubric or a standard and not against other businesses. The EICS evaluators are business leaders, community members, and volunteers, and they are separate from the BBB. This presentation is intended for educational purposes only and is not intended as a comprehensive customer service process model. To obtain an application, a copy of the evaluation criteria, and other materials used at this workshop, please contact Sandra Jackson at the Better Business Bureau of Southern Colorado, Sandra J at bbbsc.org, 719-389-1087. The workshop objectives are to give you guidelines to assist in compiling and writing the EICS application, give you examples of supporting evidence, essentially what do evaluators look for, and the timelines and deadlines in the EICS process. First, we are looking for EICS evaluators. All of us are volunteers. We're looking for maybe employees, entrepreneurs, and community members. It can benefit your business to have someone on your team join us as an evaluator because they will learn customer service measurements, may improve your processes in your business. The most important session is coming up Saturday, May 30th from 9 to noon. We're going to train your employees. Then May through September, they'll be needing to give 20 to 24 hours. They'll attend site visits with other companies and learn how other companies do customer service. And they'll help us write feedback reports. And they'll get to attend the Excellence Award Gala September 24th. More about that later. Do you know the cost of a customer complaint to your business? Statistically, only 17% know and 83% don't know the cost of a customer complaint. What is the cost of acquiring a new customer for your business? Well, 24% of businesses know, 76% do not. A satisfied customer is the best business strategy of all. Our award is modeled after the Malcolm Baldrige National Quality Award. Malcolm Baldrige was the CEO of Scoville, Inc. He served in the Reagan administration as the 26th Secretary of Commerce. He searched out unfair trading practices and reformed antitrust laws. He was the Pro Rodeo Hall of Fame Man of the Year in 1981 because he was a rodeo enthusiast. Customer-focused excellence means your customers are the ultimate judges of your performance and of product and service quality. Thus, your organization must consider all product and service characteristics and modes of customer access and support that contribute to customer satisfaction, loyalty, positive referrals, and ultimately, your organization's ongoing success. We put this chart into this presentation because this is the role of core values and concepts that the Baldrige criteria are built upon. We put this here not to give you insight into all of those processes, but to show you that it is a system and that the parts are interrelated. Of course, you can research the Malcolm Baldrige criteria on your own. First, a story to start us off. Farrell's Ice Cream Parlor and Restaurant was created by Bob Farrell. Bob wanted to take his date, Ramona, later his wife, to an authentic 1900s ice cream parlor. He couldn't find one, so he started one in Portland. Ultimately became a chain of 130 restaurants up and down the West Coast. Bob Farrell then received a letter that said, this customer is not going to come back because the customer was not given a pickle when he asked for one. Apparently, he asked his server, I'd like to have a pickle with my sandwich. And the server said, I'm sorry, sir, that's not on the profile for this menu item. He said, bring me the manager. Manager comes over and he says, I'd like to have a pickle. He says, I'm sorry, sir, this is not, a pickle is not on the menu profile for this item. He says, I'm not coming back because you would not give me a pickle. Well, Bob says, what? How much does a pickle cost us? A pickle costs us, what, 3 cents? And we've lost hundreds, maybe thousands of dollars in business because we would not give this man a simple, inexpensive pickle. So Bob created this speech for all of his employees. He went around the nation, of course, as a motivational speaker on customer service, and he wrote a book that says, give them the pickle and they'll be back. Essentially, it costs very, very little for the pickle. How can you give the customers what they want? He says, please give them the pickle. The key to profits in business, according to a University of Cambridge study, is recency, frequency, and monetary. It's a technique to transform customer transactional data into profitability scores. Now, we don't have time to go into that in this presentation, but the University of Cambridge study says that if you look at the recency, frequency, and monetary value of a particular customer, how much they spend, that will give you a key to your profits. Now, the key to the Excellence Award is systematic, ever-improving customer service systems that produce excellent, long-term, mutually profitable customer relationships. If we could sum it up in one phrase, it would be track and trend. And what would you track? Well, you need to measure what is important to the customer. Don Kruger, one of our evaluators, presented these slides in the presentation. We first talked about the J.D. Power Customer Satisfaction Award, which has been around since 1968, also known as the Voice of the Customer. James Dave Power started off in the automotive industry. And now he's branched off into 9 different industries. Essentially, he asked this question in many different aspects of the automotive industry. How satisfied are you with these many aspects? Customers would select on the scale of 0 to 10 how satisfied or not satisfied they were. 9 and 10 on the scale would be promoters. These are people who will say good things about your business and come back. The passives, 7 and 8, may or may not come back. If offered an alternative, they will probably go elsewhere. And of course, detractors, they're probably leaving, and the ones at the lower end of the scale are probably telling others about your company in a negative way. The J.D. Power Customer Experience Index model, a 0 to 10 scale. Fred Reichheld worked at Bain & Company, and he wrote a book called The Ultimate Question. He took this same scale one step further and suggested that the ultimate question is, how likely are you to recommend us to a colleague or a friend? Using the same scale, he also divided folks into promoters, passives, and detractors. Interestingly enough, in the very beginning, Fred Reichheld called those 0, 1, and 2 scores he called them assassins. They are out there actively seeking to tell others not to do business with your company. Reichheld and Bain and Company came up with something called the Net Promoter Score. It says that you can compare different businesses and different businesses within an industry against one another by taking the percentage of promoters, the 9s and 10s, and subtracting from it the percentage of detractors, those from 0 to 6. Now, other researchers suggest that you might add in the passives into that percentage of promoters and then subtract your detractors. Nevertheless, you will come up with a score, and that score can be tracked, can't it? And you can tell how things are going over time based upon that score. We're showing you the American Customer Satisfaction Index, which is another way to measure customer service, because we want to show you that it is this particular measurement is a system, and the parts are interrelated. The Customer Satisfaction Index here, the American Customer Satisfaction Index, actually will show you how changing one aspect of your customer service model will impact the total. Now, regardless of whether you use the J.D. Power question, how satisfied are you with this aspect, or you use the Fred Reichheld, how likely are you to recommend us to a colleague or friend, literature suggests that you'll get the score out of this. But more important for change and what you can do is to add a follow-up question, something like, in a few words, please tell us why you gave us this rating. Now, your promoters are going to tell you what you do well. Your detractors may tell you what you do poorly and, of course, obviously need to correct. Some folks actually modify this question and ask the detractors and the passives, how can we do better? What can we do to make things better and increase the score? This will give you actionable intelligence as to what you need to change. One way to plot comments would be to put them into various categories: serve me, thrill me, frill me, and disgust me. Of course, you do want to serve your customers, and so when you read the comments, you put certain comments into the serve me category. Thrill me means somebody went above and beyond. The wow factor. How are you wowing your customers? Let's say you're in the automotive repair business, and every time someone comes in for a service, you give them a car wash and you return their car car washed. Well, that would wow people. You probably know something in your industry that you could do that would wow your customers. Frill me is something that won't make a difference. In the automotive repair business, for example, changing the air in the spare tire. Interesting, but is it going to change customer satisfaction? Probably not. Now, if you are in the tire business, there may be a reason to do that. But the frill me's are things you do for customers that won't change satisfaction, and they'll probably cost you money. Why would you do that? I think disgust me is probably the easiest one to understand. I mean, strange things that shouldn't be in the soup. I know. Well, when you get a disgust me comment, that probably could go viral and cost you business, right? So if you track and trend your comments in this way, you can come up with a trend line, one way to track. The application is like a resume. You want it to be compelling enough to get the interview and a site visit. One way to get started is to establish application goals and the scope. Assign key players and resources and create a plan and perhaps a timeline to get this done. A mature customer service system is what we're looking for. Notice there's the approach. The approach is the idea. What do we think customers want? Then how do we deploy it? How do we put it in practice? And then we want to measure it. Number one, we want it to be consistent, right? And we want to see if the results we get. If we're not getting the results, of course, you want to go back to the approach, change it, and then change how you implement that kind of practice in your customer service system. In the workshop, we talked about a company called Your Cup of Tea. It was a hypothetical company scenario. It was given to workshop attendees. You can ask Sandra Jackson at the BBB for a copy of this. There are some great tips in there. This particular hypothetical company surveyed customers. They did focus groups, and then they surveyed them so that they came up with the idea of what customers are looking for. And of course, they changed their business model to suit. So what do we look for? Let's take a look at the organizational profile first. The organizational profile is important because it provides an overview of your business, aids evaluators in a thorough review of the application, and provides you direction as you prepare to answer your category questions. Here's one organizational chart, very traditional. CEO is at the top, and you'll notice you have a customer service manager, customer service representative, and on the other side, the product manager and the sales force. We would like to see a tie-in between the sales force and the customer service representatives, even in a traditional organizational chart, and we will probably ask how that happens. A non-traditional customer service chart or organizational model would have the customer at the top and technicians and customer service reps serving the customer and responsible to the customer. The dispatcher expedites the process. And of course, ultimately, the president is involved there as the ultimate evaluator you see. Another non-traditional model is the Disney model. In the Disney model, cast members, they're employees. They call their employees cast members because they're putting on a show. Cast members are number one, then guests, then management. Well, why were cast members number one? Well, Walt Disney believed that happy employees make for happy guests. You don't have to agree with that, of course, but it certainly works for Disney. Bob Iger talks about that. He says, I want Disney to be admired and respected by the employees, cast members, as we call them fondly, because if we ultimately are going to be admired and respected by our shareholders and by our customers, it has to start at home. Works for Disney. So they put employees first, cast members, if you will, and customers second. Everyone is taught a series of operating priorities, and this is how they know whether they're giving great customer service or if they see a situation that needs to be handled. What is the first thing to be handled? Safety. Is it safe? Secondly, is it courteous? Does it provide a good show? Is it efficient? And does it go above and beyond? You might want to take a look at Len Milbauer. He has a website called likeamouse.com. Len Milbauer was part of the customer service training program at Disney for many, many years, not connected now, but his website has a lot of interesting tips. In your application, you certainly want to have some bragging rights. You want to brainstorm your bragging list. What do you do well? Reduce the list to 5, maybe reduce that list to 3, and answer what would you supply as supporting data to prove it. Again, the mature customer service system has an approach, deployment, you measure the results, and then change your approach in an ongoing, systematic way. The first 3 parts of the application talk about the approach, your vision and mission, your customer service plan, your customer market, and assessment. The stage two talks about the deployment and focuses on that aspect, your customer service measures, your employee education and motivation, and customer service processes. Finally, last but not least, are the results and continuous improvement. So let's talk about vision and mission. What is your vision and mission, and how are they developed? How does leadership determine and communicate the relationship of customer service to your vision and mission? Now, we've seen some excellent ways from award recipients. The vision and mission statement is posted in public and employee areas. Team members know the mission and vision. And by the way, we may ask your team members if they know the mission of your company. Now, you don't have to quote it exactly word for word, but do they know the gist of the mission of the company? Is it repeated in company literature, policy manuals, business cards, perhaps? We've seen that happen. And is the statement revised as necessary? The key is that customer service is central. These two statements, the mission and vision statement, are those of the BBB of Southern Colorado. These are actually signs I photographed, posted in the conference room at the BBB for all to see. Public is invited into that meeting room, and employees regularly visit there as well. Disney's vision and mission statement is the mission of the Walt Disney Company is to entertain, inform, and inspire people around the globe through the power of unparalleled storytelling, reflecting the iconic brand's creative minds and innovative technologies that make ours the world's premier entertainment company. Yours does not have to be that lofty, but it works for Disney. The customer service plan. What is your plan for creating excellent customer service? How do you incorporate inputs from internal, that would mean employees, and external customers, that would mean your walk-through customers or walk-in customers, suppliers, and partners into your customer service plan? We've seen some very interesting things from the award recipients. Focus groups. What is important to the customer? Vendor resources. You know, your vendors may have some customer service modules or training packages that you can tap into. Also, your vendors are going to know who the most successful companies are in your industry. Maybe tap into those. What are the industry best practices? Can you find that out by being part of a professional organization, attend conferences, what have you? What does your competition do well? How can you do the same or better? What does your competition miss? And where can you fill in a gap? What happens when a customer complains, and is our process systematic and understood throughout the organization? This is very important. We'll talk more about that in a minute. Customer market assessment. How do you determine target customers and market segments? How do you determine key customer requirements and expectations? For the customer and market assessment, definitely see the handout and know your customer demographics. What is your value proposition, and what markets do you not serve, and why? For the customer service measures, how do you measure customer satisfaction and dissatisfaction? Do you use surveys, polls, etc.? How do you make customer service data available to your organization? It is important for all of your employees to know, how well are you doing? Yeah, how can you improve things? For customer service measures, customer service measurements we've seen posted in the employee area frequently, updated frequently. So if there are multiple providers, can you break down your customer service measure by employee? If so, maybe you can have some healthy competition going on there. Who's doing the best? Who's getting the greatest customer service scores? Track key indicators and trend. Graph things. Very, very important so you can see that trend. Social media tracking. More important today than ever to track your social media, but you need to quantify that. Again, track and trend. Use those graphs. Monitor emails. maybe your time to completion, your satisfaction scores versus actual customer satisfaction and repeat business. Track repeat customers. Maybe ask them, interview them from time to time. Do you use third-party surveys? Is there someone in your industry who can track things for you? If you're part of a franchise system, does the franchise itself do any customer interviews? Can those be tracked and trended? Can you be compared against others in your industry? And secret shopper surveys. And by the way, the Excellence Award and Customer Service Evaluator team might be a secret shopper in your business, and won't know when and well. So why should you measure? Well, if we accept 99.9% is good enough, we would have to also accept 1 hour of unsafe drinking water every month. 2 unsafe plane landings per day at O'Hare International Airport. 20,000 incorrect drug prescriptions every year. 500 incorrect surgical operations each week. 50 newborn babies dropped at birth every day. 2 million documents lost by IRS this year. We won't go there. Every American would be a victim of identity theft. How many? Every American. 99.9% might not be good enough. Employee education and motivation. How do your employee training and performance management systems support excellent customer service? Do you track and trend employee training? How do you promote cooperation, initiative, and empowerment through your organization? For example, we've seen recruiting ads that address customer service. For example, we're hiring happy people or customer service-oriented people. Maybe it starts in the recruiting ad. What is your intake training? What customer service modules are included? Do you have an ongoing systematic CX curriculum? That would mean customer service curriculum. Sometimes people are kind of haphazard. Oh yeah, we addressed customers' complaints from last week. But wouldn't it be better if you had a systematic curriculum that trained employees what to say, when to say it for great customer service? Is there any vendor customer service training that you can tap into? Do you have any certification incentives? Do you pay employees to go get more education? Is there promotion based upon maybe getting more certification or more training, maybe outside your business, actually? Some businesses are able to do that. What rewards do you give for positive customer survey mentions? So if someone is mentioned in a customer satisfaction survey, if they're mentioned by name, one business we know gives a gift card to that employee. Does your quarterly review for employees include customer service measures? Do employees know their customer service adjustment limits and complaint protocols? So if something doesn't go well, and it will in all businesses, what can the employee do at the moment, at the time, to serve the customer? There should be a limit, and employees need to know their limit. When does it need to be accelerated to a manager, and when does it need to be accelerated to the business owner? How do you determine and define your key customer service processes? How do you improve these processes to better meet your customer requirements? We've seen some things where routinely there's a systematic end-to-end customer service review. Management sits down, interviews employees. What can we do better to serve our customers? Often checklists can be very helpful. And then they have a supervisors review and they track and trend this, especially if you're in the trades where you go to the customer's location. Checklists can be very, very helpful. But again, you need to track and trend those. How about a phone call, or a text to your customers? Your technician will arrive at 9:45 a.m. Customers really like that. Is that part of your process? And then, of course, the technician arrives at 9:44 a.m. How about fleet tracking and service call duration and tracking? Tracking your fleet could expedite customer service, couldn't it? So if a customer has an emergency, you could call your nearest fleet truck and get them there faster. It also can be a protection for your technician as well if you track your fleet. Yes, the customer says, well, he was 2 hours late. No, actually, he was at your door at 9:44, and no one answered the door. Well, that can be a problem. If you track and trend that, that helps customer service, doesn't it? How about customer interviews? Do you call your customers? Does someone else call them? Do you have any customer rewards? Maybe some frequent flyer tracking? Do people come back because they're part of a frequent flyer program? What employee process innovation incentives do you give? If an employee comes up with a way to serve customers better or innovate in your business, are there any rewards for that? Might consider it. Results in continuous improvement. How do you analyze customer satisfaction results and trends? How about results in continuous improvement for your employees, your competitors, your customers? Very important. We've seen some examples that work. One business had multiple phone intake persons. And if a person called in for a particular service, it would go to extension 4, and then another person would call in for the same service, and that would go to extension 2. Well, instead, they changed to a cross-trained triage specialist program where this particular request would go always to extension 4. Much better for customer service. Another example we saw is end-to-end throughput reviews. What was our process? Okay, well, we have this particular process. Oops, we scheduled this customer's installation and we didn't have all the parts on hand, so we had to reschedule that. Maybe we want to change that process and schedule the appointment when all of the parts are available. Caution. Frills don't pay. They cost your company money, and they don't improve your customer service scores. Also, I might add, sales is not customer service. Oh, yes, you need to have great customer service skills during the sales process. But the fact that your sales are increasing isn't necessarily a measure that your customer service is better. In fact, some say that customer service begins after the sale is made. If you add a new service, measure, survey it, track, and trend, see how well you're doing on the customer service end. Our award recipients panel was excellent. Mike Phillips with McCluskey Motors, Rondi Stratton from Honest Accurate Auto Service, and Stacy Osborne from Beneficent gave some tips. And the ideas that came out of that interview were, first of all, to get a buy-in from your employees. Talk to the employees about how that's going to benefit the business, and divide the task, and then hold discussions with key department heads, the owner of the company, other company advocates, long-term employees, maybe not everyone in the company, but those who were certainly company advocates. One comment was made that the process itself reveals your strengths and your weaknesses. However, as a result, one recipient said the result of the process increased their business 67% that year. That would be worth applying by itself, wouldn't it? Start early was the universal cry. Survey your employees. They discovered that some trainers in their business were great, some not so great. So they decided they would upgrade their trainers or just use the great trainers. They said evaluators will ask tough questions. Yes, we will. And if you have a vendor that provides poor service, what is your process? And do you track and trend that? So sometimes, of course, you want to change vendors who are providing service to your customers, but more to your control is you can track and trend what is your process to make sure that those vendors do what they're supposed to do. The entry form and package is fairly straightforward. There's an entry form and application. You'll want to attach the entry fee in the form of a check, money order, credit card. Applications are not considered tax deductible, but talk to your tax person. You'll need the organizational profile and organizational chart, responses to the 7 categories, supporting documentation in the appendix, a high-resolution digital photo of the CEO, president, or owner of the company, and that needs to be provided in JPEG format via disk or thumb drive, a high-resolution electronic copy of your company logo to be provided in JPEG or EPS format via disk or thumb drive, and we'll be using those JPEGs and EPS format things to promote your business during the application process and, of course, at the awards gala. By the way, the total package should not exceed 50 pages. Brevity is the soul of wit, according to Shakespeare. Very important timelines. May 15th, 2020 is the application due at 5 p.m. Get your application in early, please. From May through August, the company evaluations and site visits occur. Our team will be reading your application, scheduling a site visit at your company, and writing the final report, which you'll get after the gala. And you want to definitely mark your calendar for September 24th, 2020 for the EICS Award Gala. We hope that you'll apply now to obtain an application, a copy of the evaluation criteria and other materials used in this workshop, or to become an EICS evaluator. Please contact Sandra Jackson at the Better Business Bureau of Southern Colorado, Sandra J. at bbbsc.org, 719-389-1087. I'm Steve Glazer. We are looking forward to your application.